listening to 1680 WOKB AM, Winter Garden, Florida.
This is your host, Jay Real from Real Family Talk. We are here live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is Hump Day. Listen to the show and enjoy your Wednesday night. Hello. Welcome to Real Family Talk. This is your host, Jay Real. We are, of course, in the city beautiful. It is cold tonight, though. We're going to have a couple of cold nights, and then in 2 days, we're going to be back in the 80s.
I know, that's crazy.
You got to love this weather, man. You got to. Man, let's go ahead and welcome everybody in the building. We got Jeremy's here. How you doing, sir?
I'm here. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. Mr. King's in the building as well. How you doing, sir?
My brother. I'm in the building. I'm freezing, but it's good.
It's good, man.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of things that happened over the weekend real quick, man. Start off the show. Of course, the NBA All-Star Weekend was this past weekend. We were just talking about the dunk contest. They tell me it was amazing. I did not see the dunk contest, but the brothers say it was something, a sight to see. Is that right, fellas?
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. It was good. You know. Now, don't get me wrong. Let's put it in its proper perspective. I would say it was no Vince Carter shows or nothing of that nature. But he did his thing though.
He could have made it that way. He just doesn't have that pop because he did the great dunks.
Yeah, he did. Good
he just
dunks,
didn't put no show to it. Like if he wanted to do that, he did some spectacular dunks that have not been done before, and the man still was going up.
Yeah.
He just ain't put that show and he add that charisma like Vince Carter or MJ did it.
Got you. Also, the three-point contest. I know the Golden State. I know before the contest they were talking about how Golden State was going to shine with their two top shooters joining the three-point contest. And again, I assume I saw Steph Curry won, so I imagine they showed out as everyone expected to. I know when I was listening to Kenny Smith, he thought that was going to be the best show of the night was the three-point contest.
Yeah. I mean, overall, I think it was. Now, Zach LaVine with the dunk contest, he kind of did his thing to bring some more flair to that. But overall, that three-point contest, because they had to win, man. Wesley Matthews opened it up with I think 22 points. You know, I think to get into the second round last year, I think they did it with 17. So he opened it up off the gate with 22, so everybody had to come with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really showed who had some good shooters.
Right.
And who had some people that just shoot in the game.
Right. They had to come.
Because no offense, I'm a James Harden fan, but he showed you that he's not a three-point contest shooter. He's an in-the-game shooter.
Yeah,
because he had some good shots in the All-Star game. But at the three-point contest, he just wasn't showing you nothing.
Yeah, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. When you get in that three-point contest, you got to really see who's a real shooter.
That's when the form comes into play.
Everything comes into play. When you get tired, when you get on that fourth and fifth rack and you get tired, are you going to hold your form and still stroke it? I'm telling you. I would say Steph showed everybody. He said, hey, man.
I do this.
Yeah, I do this. This is what I do.
I'm a Curry.
Yeah, exactly. This runs in the family.
All day, every day.
And the game was just as good, fellas?
I haven't seen the game yet. I tell you, I didn't get a chance to watch it. I saw bits and pieces. I saw Curry had a little sweet no-look pass to Harden for a dunk.
That was nice. But that was about it.
I didn't see everything else.
The only real highlights was you had Tim Duncan dunk. You had Dirk dunk. You had things like that, things that you don't really see on an everyday game. You see players that dunk. You had LaMarcus Aldridge bringing the ball up the court, shooting threes. You don't really see stuff like that. But other than that, it was no spectacular somebody got dunked on. Nobody wanted to be a poster. I didn't see any posters.
Nobody got posterized.
Nobody got posterized.
Nobody usually don't. Not an All-Star game.
They usually try to make sure they don't get posterized in the All-Star games. So.
Right, and because they know it was going to be a poster. So
okay,
they got out of the way for that one.
Another big event happened at the same time the game was going on. The Saturday Night Live 40th anniversary came on television as well this past weekend. A lot of buzz around that too. I did get an opportunity to see that. Overall, it was okay. It was a decent show. I
haven't watched it yet, so don't say too much.
Oh, okay. It was, it's always interesting to see, people who have, people who were on the show and who are now, relatively big stars or have been big stars and in their career come back and do, some sketch comedy. That's to me, that's always interesting. The highlight of the night, I thought, was the Will Ferrell came back and did his Alex Trebek Jeopardy sketch. That's, to me, that's the classic. That's one of the classic moments on that particular show, and just in general, especially when talking about Will Ferrell.
Which one did you do?
The Jeopardy, Alex.
Oh,
Trebek,
okay, Alex Trebek.
Jeopardy.
Oh, yeah, he kills Alex Trebek.
Yeah, he kills
really
that
does.
one. And then they brought back the guy that does Sean Connery. He came and he reprised Sean Connery for the sketch, which is always classic. They brought the guy who did what's the guy's name? Burt Reynolds. He came back and did something. They brought Jim Carrey back to do Matthew McConaughey for that sketch as well.
Okay.
The girl who does Justin Bieber, she did the sketch too. That, to me, that was the best sketch of the night. It was good. The disappointment was Eddie, though. Eddie disappointed me so hard that because everybody talked about how Eddie was coming back. Eddie was coming back to Saturday Night Live, and for those that don't know the backstory on that was big because for a long time, Eddie Murphy was pretty much I guess the word is hating or upset with Saturday Night Live, and so he basically refused to come on because they did a sketch about him, where the sketch, and this was probably 5 or 10 years ago, because this was David Spade that did the sketch. And you know how long it's been since David Spade been on the show.
Right.
But yeah, in the sketch they talked about how his career was over, and so he was pretty much offended by that. He figured, I guess it's an unwritten rule somewhere that you're not supposed to clown former cast members on the show, and so he got his feelings hurt and refused to come back. And pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, his feelings still hurt because he came out there after Chris Rock gave him this long introduction. I swear the introduction was like 5 minutes long, and basically, praised Eddie Murphy from the top of his head to the bottom of his toes. You know what I'm saying? And then Eddie came out and gave one of them Russell Simmons at the end of Def Jam speeches. Thank you for coming out. See you next week. It was like, whoa, dude, he was out there for like a minute. And he was gone. I mean, no sketch, he just gave a smile, thanked everybody for coming out, and it was gone, man. I was like, really? We can't get no Gumby, no.
I don't see Gumby. I like to see Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. That's the one.
So.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood and Shabazz.
That James Brown sketch was good.
The
too.
James Brown, yeah, and then he did the guy, I forgot his name, was Shabazz, and he did the Black History Moments.
Yes. Yeah.
That one, and what's a couple more he did? Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, Stevie.
That's classic.
Yeah, I mean,
He
obviously,
can do Stevie.
yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of good stuff that he could have done, but yeah, he chose to do none of it. He chose to do none of it. Gave you all the thank you for coming out speech and was out, man. But other than that, you know what I'm saying, it was all right though. It was okay. So yeah, that was the big thing over the weekend, man. So we'll keep it moving though. We'll keep it moving. Two interesting events that happened. I know you can catch SNL on Hulu. I haven't seen the game on Hulu though. Probably got to go to the internet maybe go check out. I'm gonna have to go to the internet and check out this Zach Levine dude. See some of these dunks that you guys are talking about. I'm gonna have to go to YouTube. I'm sure it's on YouTube. See some of these dunks, impressive dunks that he did. But we'll check it out.
Like a video game.
407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. Something that happened today, man, that I gotta just mention for a moment. Got in my spirit a little bit. So we got to do with the president, right? Bother my spirit. Has to do with the president. So the president, he made a speech today, as well as released a op-ed today related to what's been going on. Essentially what's been going on with ISIS. And so if you're not familiar, ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want to call them, I've heard both. But obviously they're wreaking havoc over in Iraq and Syria and even Libya these days.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're popping up in a lot of different places, committing just horrible acts, man. of course, they really got in the news when they started beheading some Americans that they had captured. Just recently in the news, they decapitated some Jordanians. They also captured some Christians and cut their heads off. The other day, they released a video where they were burning. They filmed burning about 45 people alive. They killed some Egyptians the other day, and so we've been seeing a lot of response, especially from the Jordanians, the Jordanian government and the Egyptian government, where they, after seeing their people killed in a particular way, made some direct response to their threats by bombing them in supposedly key locations. And so a couple things came out today. The president gave a speech today, but then it also came out that apparently before Jordan and Egypt attacked ISIS, they reached out to the U.S. government for some intelligence help. And the story at least says that we told them no. Y'all got to do it on your own. We're not giving you nothing over here.
They don't reveal their sources.
And then on top of that, then the president today basically released a speech. He released the op-ed and then he gave a speech where essentially his thought process on dealing with them, as he sees it, is finding ways to gauge them so that the youth that they're recruiting don't feel the need to join them. So he talked about creating some type of economic opportunity in some of these countries where they're doing the recruitment. He talked about finding ways to get those young people employed and things of that nature, which to me is like, wait a minute, they beheading Americans, and our solution is to try and engage the people around them for economic opportunities, for jobs, like, wait a minute. You can't even get people in America jobs, but we should be considering working with other governments to get people in foreign nations jobs so that they don't want to be a terrorist. Like, I don't think terrorists are terrorists because they're not employed. You know what I'm saying? I don't think employment is the key thing that made them a terrorist.
I'm pretty sure that too.
Like, what in the world is he thinking? I mean, the Egyptian government, the Jordanian government, which is probably not even a fourth of the size of the U.S. government, is bombing, is quick to bomb. And we working on programs for economic development in their countries.
I mean, but what do you want them to say? Do you want them to say we finna go over there and declare war? Do you want him to say we about to get some revenge? Do you want him to reveal exactly what our next calculated step is?
But he is revealing what our next calculated step is. We're going to work on opportunities to engage them so that the youth and people around them have some type of hope, if you will. He's going to give hope to the Middle East. He gave us hope in America. He's bringing hope to the Middle East now.
I mean, but that's what you want them to think. Because if I'm finna go over there and start declaring some war unknown and not telling you that, I'm going to tell you, we're going to come over there and declare help. And we're going to go over there and wreak havoc. That's what I would do. And I'm nobody. So I'm guessing that people who are smarter than me, that's what they're going to do. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give a little help. Really, I'm going to cause a little havoc because you done beheaded some of my people. I mean, that's what I will. And I'm nobody.
I don't buy it.
I know, because you don't want to give the president no respect.
I don't buy it. I mean, they have done what they call some strategic attacks over there. I'm not denying that they've done whatever they call strategic attacks, whatever that means. But clearly, whatever we're doing is not slowing down the movement that they're creating. So rather than again give a speech about what we're going to do different, he gives a speech about, well, I guess this is different because it is different to suggest that we're going to create some economic opportunity for them to help discourage people from wanting to become terrorists because, economic opportunity is what causes terrorism, apparently. 407-894-1680 is the number. 407-894-1680. What were you going to say, sir?
I was just going to say, I just go and tell them, like, hey, I announced it over CNN. Make sure they catch it and say, y'all get ready because the rain getting ready to come. And I just go in and What's that? The movie Tropic Thunder. Remember the guy who's in charge of the explosives? I was like, make it rain.
And that's why none of y'all are the president.
Hey man, I'm just telling you, you either gonna be beheading my people on national TV and think you just gonna be all right. Ain't nothing strategic about it. We just gonna come through that do and keep it moving.
Right, because to me,
that's just me.
At the end of the day, there's no reasoning people out of terrorism. And that's just unrealistic. You know, to even have a conversation to suggest that you can reason people out of terrorism, because again, they're terrorists with jobs. You think about Bin Laden. Bin Laden was worth billions of dollars, and he was a terrorist.
Very rich man, yeah.
You know, like this is
that's why
money was not the issue.
See, that's how he got his power, because he wasn't relying on nobody for aid. He can use his own money.
Right. I mean, to me, money is not the issue. This is about pure ideology.
Right, it's
ideology. You
right.
can't cure ideology with opportunity.
Nope.
Because there is opportunity for some of these people. Yeah, now I won't deny that perhaps there's some individuals that might join because they don't see opportunity. Sure, those people probably exist, but the core foundation of terrorism does not exist because of opportunity. And so, and again, even beyond that, it's to me, it's a challenge for him to talk about how we're going to create opportunities for people outside the country when we're not even creating opportunities for people in the country. That's the thing that really bothers me, is the idea we're talking about having a discussion with other nations about opportunities outside the U.S. when opportunities don't exist in the U.S. I mean, yeah, as the numbers look, right, the jobs are improving here, but when you look at the actual number of people employed, there's still a less amount of people employed than there was employed when he came into office. So we're still not at a great place when it comes to employment. People are still hungry for jobs. People are still working jobs that don't really pay their bills, but they're at least keeping a little bit of money in their pocket. So why are we, that's where our focus should be. If we don't have big speeches about economic opportunity, it should all be about America, not across the nation, across the waters.
It sounds like you just want to hate on the president.
It's nothing to do with hating on the president,
That's
brother.
What it sounds like.
Nothing at all, man.
If there's anybody else that feels like Brother Real is trying to hate on the president, give us a call in at 407-894-1680. Again, 407.
I'm not hating, bro. I'm just saying. That don't make sense to me. I just can't
Where's
wrap
Miss
my
McCrae
mind.
when you need her?
I can't wrap my mind around this idea, though. Economic opportunity in the Middle East.
This is the thing.
When we don't have opportunity in
you
America.
don't tell people I'm about to. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to bomb your battleship. I'm going to just tell you, oh, okay, well, don't worry about it. I got you. And then when I see you, I got you. No, I'm not. Strategically, I'm not going to tell you I'm about to make it rain in your country.
That's exactly what they do, though. Every president.
That's what you want. And if they're not doing what you want to do, this ain't Bush, though.
And Obama did it as well. I mean, that's what they do.
Nah, man.
That's what they do.
That ain't the way we're trying to go this time. That's not the route that we're taking this time. This time we're telling you, hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to bring you some Happy Meals, okay? It's cool. Cut everybody's head off. I'm going to bring you some Happy Meals, and then watch what happens when you eat the Happy Meals. That's what Obama is doing, okay? He's saying, I'm going to bring you happiness. Don't worry about it. I got you. We're good. Cut people's heads off. We're going to try to help your economy and get you some jobs. It's okay. Do you really, in your mind and in your heart, think that's what's gonna happen?
That's exactly what they're doing. I mean,
That's
I'm not
sad.
saying again.
You're just. That's why I say you're a hater.
Will they do some kind of quote unquote strategic movement to bomb key sites, or as they like to call it? I'm not saying that they're not going to do that, but again, to me, it's again the U.S. government working on opportunities outside this country for opportunity when opportunity doesn't exist here. To me, is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. 407-894-1680. Go ahead, John. What were we gonna say?
I will say this now. Maybe their objective is to catch those who are being manipulated because of their circumstance. Same here. Let's say let me try to apply it a little bit. Let's say how sometimes you might have the local drug dealer. They'll use the kids for lookouts and stuff, knowing how maybe the kids are in dire situations where they need money. So they use them for lookouts and things to manipulate them. Obviously they go pay them, give them money, make sure they got something to eat, all that kind of things to take advantage of a situation. Now maybe that's the idea behind it. You understand what I'm saying? Because now I'm sure there are a lot of people in the movement because they have opportunity to eat every day, or to have money, or to have some benefits they wouldn't have if they weren't a part of the ISIS group. You know what I'm saying? Because I do believe in every movement that especially that's when a move of power, there is a good fraction of it, or there's a good piece of fraction of it that is just there just because they have more opportunity. They're not necessarily there because they like killing people, or they might not be 100% behind the movement per se, but they rather be in the people that's killing instead of getting killed. You understand what I'm trying to say, man?
No, I don't. Can you say that one more
Not
time?
really, but
That's because you wasn't paying attention.
I'm listening to everything that you
take your word
saying, and
for
it's
it.
just like, what? Okay, that's how you
All
say
right,
it. But
well, that's because y'all not paying attention.
I mean, maybe it costs too much.
I'll just say it, bro. That to me, that is just the craziest strategy.
I'm not
I've ever
saying this is a good idea. I'm saying maybe that's their logic. Don't people use money to take advantage of people?
I'm
Do
not
we not
saying
agree
it
with
doesn't
that?
work.
I'm not saying
that
there's a good
doesn't
portion
happen.
of any kind of movement, any kind of war
not saying it
movement,
doesn't happen,
or
but-
anything. We can go take it back to world wars and stuff. All of them countries that was aligning themselves with Hitler back in the day, they weren't doing it necessarily because they liked Hitler. They were doing it because they didn't want Hitler to invade them. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
So they will be on that end than be on the end running. They'd rather be on the end of chasing.
I got you, man.
And maybe the president is saying, or maybe their idea behind it is, well, maybe if we come in, provide some opportunities, maybe they won't be able to build their ranks, because at the end of the day, they need people to achieve this mass success that they're trying to do. So if they say maybe we can kill their movement, is not letting them be able to create more people or create more more foot soldiers, then maybe we can quash the movement a little bit. Then if we come in and start wiping them out, they'll actually go away.
It sounds good in theory. It sounds good in theory, but as we said, these are terrorists.
Yeah, these are terrorists.
and so you don't crush terrorism by quote unquote reducing, I don't know, reducing some of their recruits. That's not how you crush terrorism.
That is how you crush them.
No, it doesn't, because there's always going to be terrorism.
Well, no.
And
What
there's
is it?
always
Well,
gonna
okay.
be
Let me see.
people who
That
join
is
the movement.
This is what it is.
So-
You do.
so you
First of
may-
all, let's just on the basic principle. If you're going to kill an army, you got to get rid of some of them. Correct. I mean, that's just pure numbers. Correct.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. So now, but obviously they have to kill leadership as well, which I'm sure that's what they're doing, and that's probably why they didn't want to share their intelligence. Because if they shared their intelligence, then people would know they're in places that they didn't want people to know they were at the time. I'm assuming that's why they wanted to share.
Who knows?
And obviously, you got to get rid of leadership in anything. You want to kill a movement, you got to get rid of leadership,
Right.
which they obviously are trying to do because every month or two, it always come up some particular leader, a faction, or of some group or powerful cell gets killed. Now, how much it's doing, I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Not a whole lot, clearly.
Right.
They haven't killed right people, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
They haven't killed the right leader yet. But I don't know. Like I said, just this whole opportunistic economic opportunity outside the country when there's a lot of people in the country starving for some economic opportunity. That again, I just can't. You got to do better than that for me. I'm sorry. You got to do better than that if you want me to support economic opportunity. Let's help them find jobs and that will curb terrorism. Come on, man. Come on, man. You got to be kidding me. That's what I feel. That's how I feel. When I listened to some of the speech today, and then I read the op-ed piece, and I know for a few days now he's been sending representatives out to sort of talk about the same message. So I mean, they've been pushing this message for a good week now, and he sort of just came and officially stamped it and put a stamp on it. But just says, come on, man, where's our economic opportunity? That's my issue.
I do understand what you're saying.
Where is ours?
You take care of, the Bible
Where
says
is
charity
ours?
begins at home.
Where is ours? Give the people in America some opportunity first.
And I would say this too, in line with your point though, a lot of times that's why you are having U.S. citizens going over and joining them, because they're seeing the hypocrisy behind a lot of things.
Right.
So, I mean, like you said, the charity begins at home. So
Right.
that's one of the things.
There's a good. There's a show that's out right now. State of Affairs. That's the name of it. And it deals with this. At least at the moment, that's what they're dealing with, are sort of terrorist groups and how they are recruiting American citizens inside the U.S. to commit crimes against the country. And again, you talk about economic opportunity. These are not people who don't have economic opportunity. They have jobs. they're in school. Some of is the way the show plays out, and so I don't get it, brother. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not really trying to hate. I just, you can't agree with everything, right?
I mean, you don't have to agree, but you can try to,
416.
you can try to understand.
I've tried. It
I mean,
don't make no sense, bro.
No.
I've tried.
You can try a little harder.
It is Black History Month, right?
That doesn't have anything to do with understanding strategic strategy in war. I'm not going to go on the news of CNN and say, "Hey, we about to come in there and start shooting y'all."
That's what they do, bro. I'm just telling
See,
you.
this is what you're not trying to understand right now is where you block off the understanding and go with what you think you know. What you have to understand is that this time they're not doing that.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not going to let you run, hide in a hole. We learned from the previous times of doing that, and it didn't work out too well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why we're not doing that anymore. We're not going to tell you I'm going to sink your battleship. I'm going to just creep in, and I'm going to sink your battleship. That's what he's going to do. Now, you may not understand that. You may not like it. You may not love his speeches. But you will see the outcome. Just like we got one terrorist out, supposedly, we'll get this one out too.
Who are you talking about?
What was in his first term? He supposedly killed some terrorist. What was his name?
You talking about Osama bin Laden?
That's what it was. Was it Osama? Supposedly they found Osama in a hole somewhere. I'm not going to comment.
No,
on
that wasn't Osama. That was they found in the hole. They ain't found bin Laden. It was Hussein, Saddam.
Saddam,
Saddam.
but that
They
was
said
under
they found
Bush
in the hole.
though.
Oh, okay. So who they found
Osama
bin
was
Laden,
the one that
Barack found
president
bin Laden.
killed.
No, bin Laden. They said he was in the compound.
Yeah, he had a compound in Pakistan, and they found his compound in Pakistan and raided his compound and shot him. Well, yeah, shot him like that.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah, that's what I saw the movie too.
Yeah, and they put him on a thing and burnt him because of Muslim customs. Right? They did the funeral.
Right. They did.
They didn't get a body to his people.
No.
They did the funeral.
No, they didn't want his people to celebrate his death. If
Right.
You will.
Right.
So they personally followed the Muslim ritual in the middle of the ocean.
Because
Of
it's
some
proper
unnamed ocean.
for Anglo Americans to follow Muslim rituals,
Well-
and that's okay, right?
Well, let's be honest here. If it was done under the president's order, and clearly the president has a fondness for Muslim culture.
So, yeah, that's it.
So
Nobody had.
He's not Muslim,
So-
but he has a fondness.
But raise your
Muslim
hands if you
culture.
think they actually did that. Okay, I'm just checking.
I don't see nobody hands raised in the
Yeah,
studio.
I'm just checking.
No, there are no hands raised in the studio.
No, I didn't see one. But
No.
that's what they said, though. So I figure that he'll do the same thing for this terrorist. They'll find them and burn them and never see their faces again. I have faith in him. You should too. Do you hear the faith
No.
in my voice?
Do you hear the crickets behind me?
I mean, you got to understand that I just feel that if it were me, and I'm nobody, I wouldn't tell you that I was coming. I'm just going to. So once I found out that you decapitated some Americans, you know I'm coming. So I'm not going to tell you I'm coming. I'm going to tell you, since I know you know I'm coming, I'm not going to tell you I'm coming. I'm going to tell you, don't worry about it, man. Squash that. Throw that under the rug. It's cool. Shake my hand and I'm going to cross my fingers behind my back. That's what I'm going to do. And that's the logical move to make. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, well, in the past,
Not in
they
past.
make those logical
That's just
moves.
that's not what we do in this society. In this society, what we do is we come up with a plan, or at least the outline of a plan, and then we go on television and we talk about our outline of the plan. I mean, that's just how the news cycle works in our society. Every president has done it. Surely, do they leave the exact details of how it goes on? Yeah, for the most part, yes, they do lot specific details. But the concept of their plans, they always go on national television and discuss. It's no different than, we're going to kill Osama bin Laden. Did they give you every single detail on how they want to make that happen? Of course not. But do they tell you that that's their goal? Yes, of course. And so by the same token, the expectation would be to explain his goal of killing him, not to come on TV and talk about economic opportunity. I mean, they just released a video where they burned alive 45 Christians from another nation. 45 Christians, where they decapitated 21 Christians who were simply doing absolutely nothing. Come on TV, taking hostages and beheading them on video and releasing it. I mean, they just double dog daring you.
I'm telling you, bring the thunder, baby.
So again, I'm. Come on, man. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Mr. King. We got to do better than create speeches on economic opportunity and finding jobs, bro. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, like I said, it's just a speech. Now, if he doesn't take any kind of action in the next few fleeting moments, then I will completely agree with you. But you got to give a brother time, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It's the black president.
He decapitated those people about 2 months ago now. Okay.
No, so what happened
These are
was-
just the recent events.
It had been a minute now.
He decapitated those. They decapitated those Americans.
We got
2 months
to
ago.
make plans. We got to check that list twice and make sure that we're doing everything right. That we know, okay, where's the exit? Where's the entrance? Where we coming from? Are we dropping the drones? Are we dropping the foot soldiers? What? And once we get the plan perfectly executed in our minds, then we can take the next step.
Okay.
It takes time, man.
We're gonna keep it moving, and we appreciate Mr. King's lovely best. I'm gonna call it the best Miss McCray impression he can do tonight. Because if she was here, she would certainly be taking the mantle on that one.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get.
But,
she would do it so much better than me.
We're gonna keep it moving on that one because you're never gonna get me to agree on that, bro.
I'm not trying to get you to agree. I'm just trying to get you to understand.
There was an article I read that that talked about the some things they were actually doing in Mississippi to develop. They call it economic democracy. Economic democracy. The title of the blog was "People, Power, and Cooperative Alternatives for a Sustainable Black Future." And so they in the article they really focused on two things that they were trying to do in order to help create better opportunity within Black communities. And I found it really interesting. If you will, Jeremy, you'll post that on the Real Family Talk Facebook page for me, the link to that article, so people can check it out. But in the article, they make 2 points that they were working on, and just wanted to kind of, discuss this real quick. 407-894-1680 is the number. And so the first thing was they called it autonomous political initiatives, which are self-organized and self-executed social projects. And so the explanation of that, they said autonomous in this context means an initiative not supportive or organized by the government or some variant or transnational monopoly capital. These projects would range from building worker cooperatives to forming people self-defense networks. On a basic scale, these projects function typically as a serve the people or survival program that help people to sustain themselves and acquire a degree of self-reliance. One of the things that they talked about, as you saw, was creating worker cooperatives. And in the article, it talks about how in Mississippi and a few other cities, they have what they're calling Black workers. It's kind of like a union or a community where people who are looking for a job can be able to go to these committees or unions, and then those committees or unions would help people who came to them, obtain some type of employment, which on a fundamental idea, it seems really basic, but it's huge because for a lot of us, I think a lot of times we get caught up and we're applying to whatever it is we're trying to get into, and then it's not working. And then after you do that for a while, you kind of feel like you're kind of stuck at a wall. It's like, oh, well, what do I do now? Because I can't get nothing. And so, in communities to have these types of places exist, for that support, and perhaps they have, hopefully they're working on a network of creating opportunities for people who walk in the door. I think it's awesome. And it's so basic too in its idea, it's just fundamental idea that doesn't really take, a lot of thought process to create, just a lot of work and effort to keep it going. What do you guys think? Do you think that's a fundamental idea? If we could kind of take that, and they're in a few cities across the country, but really explode that across the nation in the Black community, you think that's something that will certainly move us forward? Cricket.
But I mean, there's always there's always power in numbers. Number one, and your economic power, anything's going to be better with a group of people, especially if it's in a place or industry where you can really be effective, and your power can be felt. Let's say, but I would say, especially in Central Florida, it can't. I don't think at least it would be a good idea for just black people. I think minorities in general, because that's the only way you can get wages hiked up. Because there's a lot of manufacturing jobs in the area, and it's a lot of Hispanics and a good majority of Hispanics that's and the majority workers in a lot of these places. So with their power and our power as well, that could make a big difference in whether it's raising wages or fair treatment, or respect, I guess. a little bit of a better word for it,
Mr. King, you got any thoughts on that?
No, I don't have any thoughts. My thoughts are a little far-fetched for this topic, for how I feel. Because you already know I have the Marcus Garvey syndrome. Let's leave anyway and go start our own society somewhere else. But
okay, but if we can't do that, let's say that is the idea, but that can't be achieved tomorrow. So until we leave, then what do we do?
You set up the plan to leave tomorrow.
Okay.
But I guess the better question is, in doing that, how do you help those people? Obviously, it takes time to build a plan, especially a plan where you're actually absolutely separating yourself from whatever current society you believe is ailing you. And so what do you do for people in that interim?
You leave them. That's what they do in Haiti. In Haiti, they have their way of living, and then they send their kids off to America, have a better life. So, and they live whatever horrible life they live in, and that's what they do. So that country, and you stay back, because we don't need some people. So we don't want to about that. They're really taking jobs from us. Everything that we're building, now they're running, and now they'll be taking over. So that's why I just have no comment on this that's actually positive or reflecting any type of light on it, because I don't have anything good to say about it.
Anybody saying something good? That's what you got to say.
Well, yeah, that's what I got to say.
Got it. All right, brother.
But that's why I say it has to be minorities in general, because what you got to understand is, the power structure they're good at their game. It's a reason they've been running the country since inception. You understand? The names have changed, but the concept is still the same. Mm-hmm. The group is still the same. There's a lineage. You understand what I'm saying? There's no new people there.
Right.
There's nobody just came out the woodworks and oh you made it, now you can join. No, you can't. It's not even about how much money you bring into the table. Now, you can be strategically used,
right?
But the structure in itself is the same. That's why I say from a standpoint, if we're going to be here, it has to be. Well, I can't just say minorities. All oppressed people. Now, it really ain't about your color, to be honest with you. It's about being oppressed, and there are more oppressed white people actually there is people of color. I don't know if we realize that, but there is like the numbers say, there's more white people on welfare than there is minorities. We're just the face of it.
Right, because that's what they want.
Right. So from political standpoint, when they want to get rid of things, talk about things, they always bring us up and how we're abusing the system. But we're not even the majority of the system. We're just a small piece of it. How 12% of the country going to be the majority of a system?
Right.
Unless it's the prison system.
Yeah, but we're no longer 12%.
Exactly. Yeah, see what I'm saying? So that just makes it even that much,
Right. Yeah, like I said, I think it'd be a great thing that if we could take that and bring that initiative across the country, it can certainly help. I think whatever help we can provide in the community to help people with whatever they're dealing with, man, we should certainly try to do it. The second point that they bring up is they call it a human rights campaign to apply pressure on the government and the forces of economic exploitation in society. They describe it, they say pressure is exerted by organizing various types of campaigns against these forces, including mass actions or protest campaigns, direct action campaigns, boycotts, non-compliance campaigns, policy shift campaigns, campaigns against existing laws or proposed or pending laws, and electoral campaigns to put favorable people in an office or to remove adversarial forces from office. So again, this is a fundamental thing that we discuss here all the time, which goes back to, if you're going to do protests and different campaigns, it goes back to voting. You got to vote, and then not only do you need to vote, you need to hold people accountable who you put into office, and join together to put people in there that are going to help you, and join together to take people out of office who are not helping you. And so, again, fundamental ideas that basic, but if you can put them into practice and then do them consistently, as they say, can lead to people, power, and cooperative or economic democracy to ensure a sustainable black future. Great article. Like I said, I love the title of that article. It's real wordy, but yeah, fundamental ideas, man, that, we can't seem to do. We talk about voting all the time and how we are, struggling against consistently voting. And it's a fundamental idea. I know some people feel like voting doesn't solve any problems. It doesn't change anything, but it's a power. It's number structures. If the numbers consistently vote and hold people accountable, there can be some change achieved from that. Slow change, but change nonetheless. Gentlemen, 47894-1680 is the number. 47894-1680. Again, we're talking about an article that was posted, or a blog that was posted up on the Huffington Post. It's called Economic Democracy, People Power, and Cooperative Alternatives for a Sustainable Black Future. And the article is posted on our Facebook page, Real Family Talk. So we're just discussing some of the ideas and how fundamental they are. They're not, again, there's no magical formula here. They didn't brainstorm something that nobody's ever thought of. It's just about putting it into practice.
You have a group of people that were basically fed up and want to make a difference. So the best way to make a difference is to get as many people that's in the same situation that you are, and y'all try to make a change. Especially that's why I say it's all about you got to find people with like struggles, and in places like Mississippi, you have a lot of black people obviously that's in the same situations, and they are the good majority. They are a good portion of the labor pool there. So it has to be a situation where you can immediately affect change, where you can say, well, okay, y'all don't want to do right by us. We're not coming to work tomorrow. People can't stand that too much. That's why it's a reason why strikes work. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's a reason why they work, and it's a reason why people continue to do them, because they are effective if they're done correctly.
Right.
Especially when you get everybody on the same page and get everybody on board now.
Which I think is one of the biggest challenges we have these days.
Right. Because somebody was like, man, they doing it bad, but my rent due next week. But it is. You might be due next week, and I can't tell you, I can't tell you what to do about paying your rent or taking care of your family. So on one hand, I'm not mad at you, but, at some point, somebody will have to take lumps for us to move forward. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. Again, it's a cooperative environment that we have to really participate in, whether it be the political process, as well as, trying to band together to help us achieve. Even economically, the more we can do to keep that black dollar within the neighborhood or within the black community, will help us. Which I know that's a lot of times that's a big struggle, but it's fundamental. We spend over $2 trillion in the black community alone. So there's certainly a lot of money available. It's about just changing a little bit how we spend it. And if we can do that, you'll see, some changes that can be brought about just from those small efforts, if you will. Lot that can be done, but we just have to work on doing a little bit better, day by day, and tomorrow change will come. Is that right, Mr. King?
I think that's the same thing that Martin Luther King was saying. So, if that's what you want to keep on saying since Martin Luther King days to 2015, and ain't nothing changed and bit by bit, and we have had some changes, but I don't see none personally.
I would say this. We have had some changes.
Oh, yeah.
But I would say this, though. I would say this. The problem is the movement in the mass has not continued.
You're trying to tell we need a movement?
No, what I'm saying is the way they fought and the things that they did, pretty much after he died, it wasn't done on that scale. Whether people, well, you know, at the end of the day, when you take like we was talking earlier about ISIS, if you take out the right leaders, you know, they kill the right people for a reason. You quash movements. You quash movements by taking out people who are the organizers, who are the real leaders, who are willing to sacrifice to make better change. And I'm not saying nobody's done nothing since he's passed, but that mass movement like it was. I mean,
Right.
I guess last year was the last time we see it on a national scale that people was doing things, you know, with the occupiers and the sit-ins and the die-ins and things of that nature. But even still after that, like I said, just some people laying in the street because since then,
Right. It's like the movements occur, but what then comes after the movement? Like
after you sit down,
what was the
now?
change? You know, what change occurred because you went out on the street and you performed a die-in or you protested, you know, in New York or whatever the case may be.
Now, don't get me wrong, Mr. King. I'm with you. You know, we're doing the same message, and it has not changed on the level that it probably should have. But again, as people, we have to take some fault in that.
And you're right about that. But at the same time, that is my problem. As people, we got to take fault in it. We need to quit coming up with these plans of actions,
right,
and start putting some of them in action.
Into action, right,
and actually sticking with it and actually believing in it.
Right.
But
because the problem is not so much not having a plan. The problem is consistency. You know, you gotta, if there's a plan, whatever it may be, you have to consistently support that plan and push it, because it's not going to happen in 5 years. You know, no plan you create is going to magically turn around.
Didn't I say Martin Luther King? I know that one 5 years ago, and every plan that he's implemented, I tried to implement, is the exact same thing we trying to do today.
I don't think so.
I feel that it's sad that in 2015, marketing strategies have completely changed. We went from putting things in the mailbox to now we market everything online. Yet, in 2015, the way that we still try to get people to come together is march. That's what we do. We're going to get a march. Like, really? We're going to get a march? It's 2015 and we're still trying to march in silence and peace. I mean, I feel you, because that's what Martin Luther King was doing in 80 and 70. What year was that?
60.
It was 60.
50s and 60s.
50s and 60s. Now in 2015, inch by inch and piece by piece, we shall overcome. What? Man, no, something need to shake.
Let me just ask this question. So, I mean, what do you suppose? Do you propose people pick up a gun or something to that nature and quote unquote fight back?
See, and that's
Is that the solution?
No, Uncle. I'm trying to tell you, like I've always said before, let's go back. I've said it multiple times. I've never, not one time, said pick up a gun and do nothing. The only thing I've ever said is let's do the Marcus Garvey strategy and go back. But yet the first thing you ask, well, let me ask you this. Should we pick up a gun? No.
That's the question.
I understand that, but I gave you the answer to that question before you asked it. The answer was the Marcus Garvey situation.
So separation.
Separation? No separation. You got to come together and unite. No separation. We just need our own thing.
That's what I mean. Separation from quote unquote popular society, or however you want to think about it.
No, separation from their culture. This is their culture that we are trying to adapt to live in their society. That's why you got to come to work and dress a certain way and act a certain way to adapt to their culture. Once we try to do our own culture and learn our own culture, we can rise above. But if you don't know nothing about your culture, you got to adapt to somebody else's culture that you ain't even from there. Like, how you supposed to excel in that? How you gonna go, like, come on, that's like you a tiger, but you gotta excel with the Panthers and be like, well, I can go live with them. Well, I'm sorry, let's take that around. You a Panther, and you gotta go live with the polar bears. Talking about, we can adapt. We can make our own society with the polar bears. And we Panthers, man. We from the jungle. Why we over here with these Panthers, man? Talking about we gonna vote to change things for us. Like, what? That's how I look at it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. Nobody called in to agree, so I guess I am the only one.
What's your opinion, Jeremy? What do you think about that, sir?
About what?
What he just said, sir.
About how do we change and things of that nature? Now I would say, I do disagree with you with the voting. I think voting can make a difference. You know, it's I don't believe it's going to I don't believe it's going to be the nail in the coffin, so to speak. You know, I think it'll help lay some boards up, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be about the people. You know, and not just moving in the voting booth. It's gonna be like I said, people have to take lumps, whether it's strikes or whether it's like we talked about a couple of months ago. It's economic. It has to be some kind of economic hit. That's what at the end of it's the money is what they like. It what they love. You know what I'm saying? It's the money. In order to make people see things, you have to affect them economically.
No. That's not true.
How do you do it then?
Because you can have all the money in the world.
I'm not talking about effective.
Let me finish on what I got to say.
Okay.
You can have all the money in the world, but you ain't going to get no respect if you ain't got no culture. No. That's what they respect. You got these Asian people, they got all this money because they ain't get respect because, you know, you're from Asia, you have your culture. You got the same thing with Russia, the same thing with Jordan. You got your own culture, so we got to show you some respect. Black people ain't got no culture. What we got to show you respect for? You can have all that money, but I'm going to buy you. I got more money than you. You can do whatever you want to do, but I own you at the end of the day because you don't know who you are.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about us economically. I'm saying the effective power structure. You have to affect the power structure economically. That's the only thing they understand. We can march and protest all that we want, but as long as we keep going to the store that they own, buying everything that we get, you understand, they don't care. You just walking around marching. Like, okay. When they get through, they gonna need some water. You know, they still coming to pay these bills because we running about power companies. They still getting gas because they got to drive their cars to their job, to the company.
So let me get it straight. So voting counts and voting helps.
I think voting is a part of it. Voting is a part of it.
What will voting change?
Depending on what you're talking about. Now, if you talk on a local level, voting has a much more impact than on a national level. Yeah. On the local level, it has a big impact.
Right, because voting.
So let me get this straight. So the police are shooting young black males. How does voting help that?
How does voting help that? Because we vote for the police chief. We vote for the sheriff. If we vote in a sheriff that says this is going to stop, okay, and when they do it, and we vote for the state attorney too.
So let me ask you this now: all of them work for the system that we are trying to get out of.
Yes, that they do.
So voting them in that system, how does that help us? If they work
because if we had to vote in someone,
and you can vote them out.
You have to have to vote in someone who says we're going to change. So if they don't, then you vote somebody else in.
So let me ask you this: Mr. Real, J. Real, how long has it been since we have had the ability to vote?
How long?
Since the 70s, the 60s. We was fighting in the 60s, right?
No. We've been voting longer than we've been voting since like the 30s or 40s.
I'm talking about black people.
That's what I'm talking about.
30s and 40s. And first black president under the Constitution happened recently.
We had the power to vote. Let's say that. Right. But we've actually been.
The better question is, how long have we collectively used that power to vote?
That's I guess that would be the better question.
Because there's no.
It's not even about a point. First of all, there's some different levels of this because in the South, obviously there was some intimidation to it. All right. Then you come along. Then there's some apathy behind that as well, which people feel like voting doesn't matter. But like you say, I think the better question is how are we effectively using that power to vote?
Right, because
in places like Orlando, let's go back to Ferguson because that is a majority black town. Okay, and they have the power to vote in attorneys, sheriffs to oversee their town. You understand what I'm saying? And them not voting, then the minority votes in who they want because we're not voting. So that has that's what we were talking about. The change is much more on the local level that it has an immediate effect. I mean, now that's something locally they're particularly they can do.
It's a classic.
Now here in Orlando, ours is a little bit muddy because we're not the minority. I mean, we're not the majority here. Now, like I said, let's understand. We get with this Hispanics that can vote, then we can build a big serious case and we can put somebody in. And it's like, okay, this got to stop. Or they're going to. It's not even about so much quelling. It's about getting rid of the officers that are going to do this or changing the practice.
Right.
Because a lot of it is training. They're trained to do certain things. So somebody has to come in and vote people in that's going to change the practice. Now, is it going to happen next year? Probably not. But it might happen for our grandchildren. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you got to remember, our grandparents didn't think we would ever have a black president. Actually, we didn't think we would have a black president, let's be honest with you. You know, we didn't even got to go that far.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, when you talking about voting being a change, I mean, that's a change now. You know, how much he did or not did, you know, that's up for debate.
That's another point.
Right.
That's not.
But voting
that's not
change,
the
he got
change.
in there.
That's not the change that I'm talking about. I don't care about any of that change. That change does not help me when I walk outside. That change does not.
That's why I say
The
on the
change
local
that I'm
level,
talking about.
what can
Right.
help,
There you go.
What can help you when you walk outside is voting in the police chief, or voting in the sheriff, who's going to toe the line and make sure the people that's policing under him are doing it in a respectful manner.
Right. Vote for the
And
state
that state attorney that's going to say, okay,
when the
police,
case
if
comes
you,
in front of
when you
him,
act out of order,
he's gonna
you
do
go into
something
jail.
about it. Yeah.
That's what it's going to be locally on that level.
Right, and so you might not prevent Michael Brown from happening, but what you can change is perhaps the state attorney, and then that new state attorney actually prosecutes.
Right, he go come in and say, no, this not gonna get
That is a change.
swept under the rug and say, oh, okay, he was just defending himself, and we go back to police till we die. You know,
That is a
it's
change.
not that type. Right, you got somebody go say, no, we gonna really look in this, and if he did something wrong, he going up.
Right. So that is a change. I mean, and again, it's things like that bring about change, you know, because you bring in a new police commissioner who perhaps is African American and is very familiar with what the typical
What are you gonna
experience.
do? What are you gonna do?
What he
the
can
same
do
thing the president did.
is he can bring to his squad a sense of I don't know what you want to call it, sensitivity, awareness, or
But see,
whatever
that's not the change
that
that
they
I'm-
perhaps don't have already.
It's not the change I'm caring about. The change I'm caring about is the television change, the music change, the changes that influence people. The change that when you go somewhere, somebody has a bad taste in their mouth because of your skin color. Because of, oh, he's black with dreads, so let me be cautious. Oh, he's a black male, so you know how men are. You know, it's perceptions like that I want to see a change in. Like I say, when I step out my door, how I'm perceived is the type of change that I want to make. And to make that change, I need television to change. I need the people who control the televisions to change. Now, voting does not change that.
No, voting doesn't change that. No.
That's the
won't change
changes that
that.
I'm trying to make. But in order to get those changes, you have to change your society as black people. That's the changes that I'm making. The voting only changes the society that we shouldn't be in, no way. That we really can't control. No, it's like, well, we're going to try to get a pinky toe in the game that we ain't create, that really ain't even built for us to play, but we still trying to play it. That makes no sense, but if that's what you want to do, you do it. That's not the change that I'm trying to make, though, because you can't win a game that wasn't created for you to play. It's like, well, we'll make you 30/3 of a player. Go ahead, 3 1/3 of a player. I think it is. How much are we? I forgot.
We were 3/5.
We were 3/5.
We were 3/5 of a man.
I'm sorry about that. So I don't want to play a game when I'm only 3/5 of the players. Everybody else is a full player. I'm good on that game. I want to play the game that I can actually control, which is how people look at me as an African American.
Well, you're
you know?
never going to control that.
Well, you can try to change that if we come together and say and stop selling out. Stop selling out for the TV shows. Stop selling out for the music. Stop selling out what we eat at. You know, and that's the changes that I'm talking about making. Voting don't change nothing. I mean, I hear you. You say it do. Okay, we'll agree to disagree. But those aren't the changes that I'm speaking about making. I'm talking about the society changes.
Well, let me ask you this then. If you can't get people together to vote for a sheriff or a state attorney who go affect the justice system, how you think you gonna get people to get together and change about eating somewhere? About eating in the right place.
One thing we care about, and one thing we feel
television.
like we don't even care about that. Like you have a justice system to try to control us. Why do I care about that justice system? It's only it was originally created to control us, not them, us. So why do I care about that? I care about where I eat it because, I need to care about that. My health is more important than who throwing me in jail, in my opinion, because you're gonna do that regardless.
Okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But just in my own personal opinion, I think to me, I think if you can't get people to come together on something that they can tangibly see a change in, it'd be even more challenging to get them to come together on a on a more perception, if you will.
Well, let me ask you this:
Panthers showed you that.
How do we change? You talking about selling out for TV shows? How do we get to those people then? How do we do it?
The Panthers showed you how to do everything. The Panthers was a great group.
So what did they show us, though?
Until they started showing you how to feed children and how to do those things, and then that's when they.
No,
started.
I'm asking. Well, we talking about the here and now, because
Okay.
the children not going on reality shows right now.
No, okay. Who are though? The sellouts. You always.
So
got
I'm
the
asking,
fields and
how do we change those?
You stop supporting those networks that put on that mockery. Stop watching. Tell your children, no, you will not watch Love and Hip Hop, and I will block that channel on my television.
You need to tell the adults that too, though.
Well, that's
Right.
what
That's
I'm
what I'm
speaking
saying.
as an adult to say this is how you do that. You say
No,
no.
I'm saying you need to tell the adults to stop watching Love and Hip Hop and Basketball Wives.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, 'cause it's the grown
Bad
folks
Girls.
pushing that stuff.
Exactly.
There you go. Stop doing it. And that's how you do. Now, once we start doing that, that's how you march. That is the new way of marching. That is the new way of boycotting. No more walking down the street. We just not going to support your television show. We're not going to go on your websites. We're not going to pump your gas.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But that's economic. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
okay, but I'm just saying, hey, we need to step into the 2015 with it. Like, okay, we're just gonna block it's so simple. I'm gonna block that show on my network, and we're just not gonna watch that television show at that television station in our house. And that's the way I feel that we can make that change. We're not going to even support that music. We're not going to listen to that on iHeartRadio or nothing like that.
All right, brother. We hear you, man.
Please.
We want to thank you for listening to the program tonight. This is Real Family Talk, of course. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and check out the website realfamilytalk.com. This is WOKB 1680 AM, your urban empowerment and inspiration station.
9 to 10 p.m. and every Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOKB 1680, your urban empowerment and inspiration station.
See you.
My brother, my brother.
You're listening to 1680 WOKB AM, Winter Garden, Florida.